Good morning, all. The next topic we are going to see is recoverable schedule. See, what is recoverable schedule means? The schedule in which transactions are running. If those are going to commit first, suppose two transactions are running. If first transaction is going to commit, then second transaction also we are reading the same variable. Then if they are reading commit before, then that type of schedules are called as recoverable schedule. That is schedules in which transactions commit only after all transaction whose changes they read commit are called recoverable schedules. See, in other words, if some transaction Tj is reading the value updated or written by some other transaction Ti, then the commit of Tj must occur after the commit of Ti. For this, I'll explain you with an example. See, these are the two schedules running. Here the schedule is, it is having two transactions T1 and T2. In transaction T1, what is happening? It is going to read a data item A, and it is going to read, it is going to operation is going to be done, then write. So what is A value? A value initially is 10. A value initially is 10, and see, I'll go with the sequence. R of A, if it is reading, then it will be having 10 value. Then A is equals to A plus 10 is 20. So write that 20. So write means it is going to write on the local buffer. So 8 will cancel as 10 and 20 will be written on the local buffer. That is your computer memory. Then next second T2 transaction is been running. In that R of A, again it is calling the same variable data item, that is A. So here it is reading means it will read the local buffer what we have updated 20 as the value, that it will read. Then again here it is performing some operation, that is A is equals to A minus 5. A minus 5, here you will get 15 value. Then write this. Write means where it will write to? It will write on the local buffer 15. It will write on the local buffer 15. Then commit, it is telling. Actually here it should write 15 local buffer, then commit. If it then if commits are written like this, suppose, then commit means after the instruction write of WA we are getting commit. Then it will go and write on the disk database, that is this is your disk database. Here it will go and write 15. Initially it was having 10. Then next commit, it is writing in T1. If suppose system is failing here in middle, after committing the T2 transaction, if system is failing, then it should roll back the T1 transaction, and what we are getting A value. If it is rolling back, then we are getting the A value as 10. But here local buffer is being updated with 15 and disk database is also updated with 15. So here it is not giving us the correct result. If it is rolling back, then we have to get the result as 10, but we are not getting 10. Suppose I'll give you the same thing with an example. If suppose two variables are two people are writing exam, A and B. Wait. Suppose A and B both are writing exam. If A has B has copied two answers from B has copied two answers from A, and after finishing the exam, B will go and submit first his papers. But time is not over still. Again A further realizes ki those two answers might be wrong. I'll make sure that again I'll write the correct answers. So again this A will update those two answers, and at the end she is going to submit the paper. That means B is unaware of the updation made by A answers. So just whatever wrong B has copied will go and submit, but A has modified the answers to correct and then she'll submit. In this case, can B again go and make changes to the answers as he has already submitted the paper? No. So B can't do any changes to it because already the paper is being submitted. This type of problem is also called as a dirty read problem. So in this case, if he wants to modify also answers, then what can be done is first A has to submit paper, then B has to wait for A to submit the paper, then B can submit the paper. That is the order of commit should go first with A, then with B. If B is submitting the paper, then if A is submitting the paper first, then B will be sure that whatever answers I have copied will be correct. So this is one way how it can be recovered. If this example is followed, then this is called as irrecoverable problem, because see, B is first submitting the paper, then later on A is making the changes to the answers. So in this way, if B also want to make changes, can't be done as paper is already submitted. Then this type of scheduling is also called as irrecoverable, because this can't be recovered further. To make this as recoverable, we can change the order of commit. That is, we'll ask first A to commit, then B will we'll ask A first to submit, then second B will submit and go leave the exam hall. Like that we can do to make the previous to make the dirty read problem example as recoverable. So this schedule is called as recoverable, the previous one is called as irrecoverable. So we can tell with the tree graph here, if there is a dirty read problem, it can lead to two ways. That is, if there is no dirty read problem, then it can lead to recoverable schedules. Then we'll get a recoverable schedules. If there is a read problem, in again there are two ways. If see, this is a dirty read problem. In this, when it is recoverable and when it is not recoverable, here the order of the schedules should be same with the order of the transactions happening. That is, the order of the commit should be in same order as the order of transactions happening. So if it is same, then it is called as recoverable. If the orders are different, then it is highly irrecoverable schedule. Then we can't recover the schedule. So with this graph we can explain when it is recoverable and when it is not recoverable. So in that we are having for the two types of recoverable, that is cascading rollback and another is cascadeless schedule. So we'll see these one by one. A single transaction failure leads to a series of transaction. Rollback is called cascading rollback. This type of rollback is called as a cascading rollback. See here what it is telling. Suppose I'll tell you first with example, then I'll go back with definition. There are three types of transactions: T1, T2, T3. In T1, what we are doing, we are performing read and write operation. Then further in T2 transaction, again it is reading the previous A value, that is previous data item, and again making changes to it. Suppose A is 100, so in write operation it is making A as 50. Then again this 50 is been read in transaction T2 and that is been updated to 30 in T2 only. Then again T3 is also reading the same A data item and that is which is 30, and again it is modifying it to 20. So like this it is doing one after the other transaction. So if suppose there is a system failure at this level, after performing write here, if there is a system failure, then it should roll back. That means it should go back to the initial value of A. So initial value of A was 100. So as as T2 has also written the value of T1 transaction and made modified to the T1 values, then this also should roll back as it has not committed. T3 also should roll back because A has copied 30 from T2 transaction and there is no commit in T3. Because of two reasons it has to go back, because it is reading from the previous transaction and there is no commit. It is reading value from the previous transaction and there is no commit. Similarly, T3 is also reading the value from T2 and there is no commit. So for this reason these all have to roll back. So that is called as cascading rollback. If one transaction fails, then all the series of transaction has to roll back. That is called as cascading rollback. So again I'll tell you, cascading rollback means if a single transaction fails, then it has to roll back. So it has to roll back with series of transaction. If a single transaction fails, this will lead to all the transaction to roll back, because this T2 is reading the value from T1, updated value of T1, and there is no commit in T2. Similarly, T3 also is reading the value, updated value of T2, and there is no commit. Because of this reason, all the series of transactions should roll back. That is called as cascading rollback. The next type of recoverable we'll check is cascadeless schedule. In cascadeless schedule, the cascading rollbacks requires, we have seen the cascading rollbacks. It requires significant amount of work, which is not unnecessarily, it is not required, or we can tell it is undesirable. So the schedules that we are going to avoid cascading rollbacks, the schedules that is going to avoid this type of rollback is called as cascadeless schedule. To avoid this type of rollback, we'll be calling the schedule as cascadeless schedule. So how we can avoid this cascading rollback is, simple example. Here, just after each transactions happened, we'll commit it. If we commit it, that means it will be reflect on our disk. See, if you are reading a value, then write, then we'll commit it. Then this committed value of a, we are going to read in another transaction, perform the operation, then commit. If we do in this way, then we can tell that it is a cascadeless schedule. That means after each transaction performing the operations, we'll commit, and that committed value we will be reading. See here, previously we said that as there is no commit, so only the transaction has been rolled back, but here if we commit, then it will not roll back. So this is cascadeless schedule. So this type of cascadeless schedule is also, so every cascadeless schedules will be a recoverable schedule also. As we have committed, then it is recoverable. Thank you.